Good afternoon, this is Obscenity Channel on Education. Most of us have become English teacher after some initial qualifications, and right now we are quite confident, I believe, when teaching English. But is there anything else that we can do to skill up and improve our professional development? I take it for granted that being prepared for every single class is a must. But is there anything else that we can do? So today we're going to talk about it with Rob and Graham here in Barcelona this time. Hi.
Hi, no longer in Malaga.
We have two ladies in Madrid, Salma and Gabriela. Hello to you too. And Lizard, who is also in Barcelona. Hi. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
My name is Radmila Gurkova. Let's get started. So the first question for just to open up the discussion, what makes a good teacher for you guys?
Are we looking at me?
Yeah.
Okay. No. So not to do the stereotypical stuff. Nah, we all know
No.
that kind of thing. I would say someone who knows how to push their students. You don't want your students always to be in the comfort zone. So I think for me, pushing your students to their limit makes a good teacher.
Are you a good teacher according to this? Do you push your
I would
students?
like to think so. Maybe you have to ask everybody else or ask my students. But yeah.
Alright. Graham, how about you?
For me, being reflective, taking time at the end of every day to think about what you did right and what you did wrong, especially what you did right, because then you can sleep better.
Fair enough. Salma and Gabriela, how about you guys?
Well, I think you should always be prepared, and I mean, prepared, and then, like Graham said, reflect on your lesson. Because when you prepare for the next lesson, you need to know what went wrong and what went right, and work on what went wrong to be prepared for anything that might happen in
Okay,
the next lesson.
perfect. Your definition, Gabriela?
I think I agree with everyone. Besides being prepared, you need to have good interpersonal skills, and you need to be not just challenging your students, but also challenging yourself, because it's very easy to become complacent, I think. So you always need to make sure that you are also challenging yourself in your teaching practice as well as your students.
Okay,
I'd say also put oneself in the student's shoes, maybe like kind of empathy, or even having been through the process of learning another foreign language, maybe also could help a teacher be a good teacher.
that's quite right. Actually, we always learn. We are not only teachers, but we are learners all the time. So, what do you do to continuously upskill personally?
I read a lot. Actually, to be honest with you, that's a lie. I don't read. I watch YouTube videos. To be honest with you,
Correct.
I'm not really much. I get bored by reading multiple texts, but you can find YouTube even on the simplest of theorists. TED Talk videos and stuff are really good. Just to keep looking at. Even it doesn't even have to be English teaching. It can be teaching in general.
Teaching in general.
Education,
Right,
of
yeah,
course.
it can be
Yeah,
random.
we were talking with Lizard yesterday. I think he has some great suggestions.
Well, I mean, not great suggestions. I mean, the same thing like TED Talks or like anything. Yeah, and also YouTube videos, stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, also not like a reader or like a super reader myself, or okay, but I mean, there are lots of really insightful videos, uh, and yes, TED Talks. Basically, I'm watching a lot of them. Yeah.
Great. And you guys, Gabriela and Salma?
Well, I always ask my colleagues. I mean, I listen to talks and watch videos on YouTube, but I mean, whenever I have difficulties in any teaching and a lesson, I just talk to colleagues and ask them for ideas and advice, and it's always helpful to learn from other teachers' experiences. I mean, they always have a lot to offer. So.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah, I think
go
just
ahead. Yes.
just seeing things online, there's a wealth of information out there about different teaching practices, or maybe trying something new that you're not familiar with. So looking at things online, and as Amal was saying, chatting to other teachers.
Actually, I think that we learn a lot from each other, even without being so aware of it. So what are ways of learning through peers, Graham, that we can use and improve our skills?
Just your colleagues around you. I mean, even well, I'm in a fortunate position where I get to work with TEFL students, so they are going out with teachers and coming back and saying, I saw this, I saw the next thing. I've got a great vantage for that. But even just the other week, Billy, last Friday, I think we're going to talk about it later on, but that's totally changed or reinforced my belief in how I teach, but some statistics that I wasn't aware of. And it's in passing conversation. You hear something, you go, oh yeah, that relates to me.
Actually, let's give that statistics because they're quite revealing. I would like everyone to be aware of them because it's kind of we usually think of learners as, okay, either you are a visual learner or kinesthetic or what was it, the other type, visual, auditory, etc., etc. But Billy said no. Here is another way of looking at it. So people learn 5% from a lecture. So when they attend the class, for instance, and this is quite applicable to our students to have into consideration. 10% from reading. 20% from audiovisual learning, like videos and series, which you guys were talking about. 30% from a demonstration. 50% from group discussion. 75% by applying what you've learned. And 90% by teaching others. So I think that's really, really revealing information. For me, it was an eye-opener, at least. So how can we apply that in the classroom now that we know it?
When Billy first told me that, me and Rob were talking afterwards, and it totally rung home to me.
Yeah, absolutely, me too.
Because I didn't really start to understand grammar properly until I was in the position of having to teach teachers how to teach it.
Yeah.
And I really got more. But then I started to think, well, we often think it's a problem when we have a mixed level class. Well, now I don't think that's a problem anymore. I'm going, okay, well, I'm going to take that person who has some knowledge and get them to teach the ones that don't. And that's going to increase their learning. So just that little bit of information from Billy's made a problem for me into a solution and something I think I can work better with.
Absolutely. I think that we can apply that a lot. For instance, group discussions. I mean, usually in our activities, we tend to sometimes reduce topic activities to reading and answering some questions, but actually putting that target language through a discussion can achieve much more than just trying students to memorize this vocabulary, for instance.
It even shows that reading to them is more beneficial in percentage wise than them reading themselves, because they're listening. It seems to have better influence in them understanding. So just stats like that kind of reinforce how you want to teach, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, they always pick up more when you read to them rather than reading themselves anyway. Totally. So because they focus so much on just the pronunciation that they have no idea what they're actually reading. So if
We asked our teachers what suggestions they would accept. So, for instance, if we were to organize activities, workshops, or observing peers, etc., what would their preference be? And pretty much all of them pointed out as number one, observing peers. So, what can a teacher learn from someone else's activities, Graham, for instance? Because we all produce activities, and this is a direct way of us skilling up, actually.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're presented with an activity by someone, I'm trying to think of an example of a teacher, but who uses very eloquent language and goes to The Guardian. Now, I don't read The Guardian. It's not what I do. But when someone puts a text together with The Guardian, I'm like, oof, I'm going to have to teach some higher level English today. So it forces me to think about how I'm going to contextually explain that vocabulary, because it's not common for me. So sometimes doing an activity created by someone else who's using a higher level forces me to be better. Yeah. And especially with grammar activities, I have to learn a lot before I teach some of my grammar activities, especially at P5 level. Are you the same? Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. Stuff like reported speech or something like that. You've got to be on board with it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is one of the main needs that a teacher has after finishing a course to improve their grammar. Why is grammar so difficult to teach?
I don't know. I think at first people are nervous. Sorry, go on.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, sorry. So I was going to say, I think at first people are very nervous about it. They don't want to be caught out by students, and so they kind of are a bit more reluctant, maybe, to teach it unless they're 100% confident.
Yeah.
They may think, oh, reported speech, I'm not too sure on that. So maybe I'll just leave that for now and come to it in the future when I'm feeling a bit more confident. But like we were just saying, right, it's by teaching it that
That
actually
It
you're
gets
going
you
to learn
better.
it. So, you know, by doing it, you've got to force yourself, push yourself to do it, and you'll get it, you know. But
Okay.
The more times you teach grammar, the better you get at teaching
yeah,
it.
of course.
You know what it's like when you teach with the Obscenity system, you get a lot of the same activities layered through the week. You know, you teach that class a lot better on Friday than you did it on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, because you've been asked the same questions all week and the same
Yeah.
kind of stuff, especially if it's grammar related, you know. And so you by Friday you're on the ball.
you're,
and, you
you're
know,
nailing it.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific? Really?
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh,
It
tell us
really
about
made me
it.
anxious. But now I genuinely look forward to teaching grammar
Yeah.
lessons because I like how structured they are, you know, but it's just you really need to be confident about what you're teaching.
Yeah.
So the first time I gave a condition lesson, it was a complete disaster. But then now it's actually fun. I really enjoy teaching conditionals now.
Yeah. Conditional's one of my favorite things to teach.
You too.
Right? They're really, really fun. So yeah, you just need to try new things with the lesson. I always try new strategies and then see which one works the most. And it's just important to get out of your comfort zone and really try new things. Ask teachers how they teach this lesson. Try it yourself, see if it works for you and your students. And until like trial and error, you know, until something really works for your students. It's all about practice.
Okay. Has there been a specific moment or event that has motivated you to learn more or to skill up?
Student might ask me something that I'm familiar with or perhaps just haven't looked at for a long time. Specifically, I think with grammar, because certainly for me as an English speaker, you learn that almost intuitively. So it's not, I've never had to sit down and study English grammar, yes, in school, but not to the extent that you would if you're learning another language. And in that case, I think it's great because then you're forced to revise things and to go over it. And when you understand it and you can explain it to yourself, then it also makes it easier to teach someone else.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is you all have done a TEFL course, I guess. Well, all of you, yeah, of course. But what are the things that you learn through practice and are not mentioned in a TEFL course?
I just thought confidence. Everybody mentioned confidence, right? And I think that's like top 10 probably, or I don't know. So I don't know. Yeah, I think practice
Gives you confidence.
provides you with that confidence, and it's really useful, right? Like you're confident, you go to a classroom, and it's your show, right? So.
And I think experience.
Okay. Great.
Well, personality. I jot down also personality, maybe, you know, like your personality becoming like a teacher, right? So that's through practice, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you can read so much about it, right? You can do all the theory in the world, but like until you're actually in the room, in the classroom, then you're not going to do it.
Takes a while to get your style, right?
Yeah. You've got to get your style. You've got to learn how to react in a certain situation, etc.
How to read a student.
Yeah.
So, is it necessary, according to you, do we have to measure the teacher's expertise? How good we are?
Teachers are feeling judged by like whatever organizations or something. So I think we need to measure. We need to provide students with like satisfying lessons and also try to. I mean, not organizations shouldn't turn their back on like teachers. Sometimes I've seen that, but I think measuring, kicking the butt maybe to a teacher that's lazy or something probably it's not bad, but also being careful with that, I guess. I'd say.
I don't know. I will challenge you there. How will you know that you are making a good job if no one tells you, gives you some parameters?
Yeah, I agree. So that's good. I mean, I haven't really suffered from that. I mean, I've never been really like very bad at teaching, but so everything's been fine. But I've been, you know, like the substitute of other teachers who were like whose students weren't like content or something, and I thought it was kind of like maybe not the best way probably maybe just to change the teacher because the students are not happy with that teacher, or I don't know.
Well,
Anybody
yeah,
else?
but yeah, guys, what do you think? Because
For me, measurement comes in a few ways, right? So I mean, I tend to measure. Oof, you can measure your success and obviously the production rate of your student, right? That's the number one.
Yeah.
But then you get your feedback too, you know. And one thing I was going to say talk about teaching grammar activities, and what Samuel was saying, there's no greater reward than when you successfully teach a grammar activity when you first start teaching them. When the student turns out and goes, "That's the first time I've ever understood that. Thank you." And you're just like, Toma, there we go. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And I think that's like the sort of measurement of success. You can sometimes be confused by they like me. That doesn't mean you're a good teacher. It means you're a nice person. You know, so your feedback, sometimes if it says, "Oh, I really like and enjoy it," but if you're managing to teach them a lot of grammar and they're still enjoying it, then that's a really great teacher. You know, and I think that's the measurement I've developed for myself. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's seeing them actually go through a syllabus and developing, maybe get to a next level or get a job if you know them well enough. That's how I measure myself.
Mhm.
But I think it's hard to measure it as a company. How do you measure
okay,
us?
so I'll tell you exactly how we measure you. So we measure everything, everything that has to do with system usage. So all interactions are taken into consideration. Now, the way you interact with the system, the way our students interact with the system, the way, obviously, because you give us a lot of input, that information is stored and is provided to you. It's returned to you in a way that you can understand it. So and decipher it. So, for instance, we know that a teacher is what activities they prefer to use, for instance, whether they're giving preference to vocabulary over grammar or the other way around. We know that what activities they send to reciting, for instance. We know their improvement rate. So whenever you improve an activity, we know that, for instance, before that was a 3-star activity, now it's a 4-star activity. So all these little things tell us the stage of how we as an organization apply our system, how we use it, and what we need to improve. This is crucial information, because to you it's, probably you get more intuitive feedback from students. These type of comments, they're very valuable and necessary because they reinforce your what you know by intuition. But you need someone to tell you, look, okay, so for instance, this is the feedback that we have. To self-regulate, it's for self-regulation. It's not because someone will judge you. Your students are your judges. Eventually they will tell you, this teacher is doing great, or this other is, maybe as you have complaints, this other is not so great. But if you see yourself how you outstand compared to the average, then you can do a lot of self-regulated actions. You know, you will know the pace of your class, whether your students would need a little bit more of, for instance, vocabulary activities or more fluency activities or more accuracy activities. This is really, really important information for you guys. So, this is how we do it, basically. Anyway, you have a story, I think, from how to teach, or willingness to teach grammar activities, Graham.
No, just a bit of, I was mentioning this in the meeting this morning. When I qualified, not before I qualified, my first week of the course, Rob, you might relate to this too. They were going, the gerund. And you're like, what's that? Do you know, as a native speaker, it was horrific. It was a steep hill of 4 weeks. And then I came and did the Oxford TEFL afterwards. And it took me a long time to slowly get through learning grammar and getting used to it. But I worked with Tom, who used to work with us. He doesn't work with the company anymore, so I can talk about him badly. But he used to avoid teaching grammar activities because he was scared.
Mm.
And I just said to him, just take one a week. So, you know, he would do vocabulary and topics, that's all he would do, bless him. But to just start integrating grammar and doing one at a time, and then once you start getting used to it, you're not scared of it anymore. It's like any task you want to do. And I just noticed many teachers avoid grammar, not just with this company, but in general. They're like, I'm going to do commutative classes. And then you get the feedback from the student going, I just feel like I'm having a coffee in a bar. Well, that's what happens if you don't teach them grammar in any way, shape or form, you know. So just taking a little bit at a time and giving it a go, it helped me. It's what I did when I started because I was awful. And you, Rob?
No, exactly the same situation. And then it was that, no, I focused on one thing that I was kind of more or less confident with, even if it was something simple, like a really simple structure or, you know, the first condition or something really basic. Got confident with this whole idea of kind of teaching grammar, and then start pushing yourself. And then in the end, you actually learn to love it. Like I actually quite enjoy it with my students. Yeah, like Salma said before, I really enjoy it when my students kind of try to maybe trick me or trip me up or push me. You know, I think it's good for me to give them high expectations, but to have high expectations of me too. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I think we have some comments from teachers, Rob.
Yeah, so Duncan has said to measure results, it's crucial to set goals at the beginning of the learning process. Mm-hmm. As a result, you can more accurately measure students' progress and provide them with encouraging feedback. And again, Stefan, like we said before, observing teachers in class could be another way to upscale. So maybe we could watch, I mean, I know here as well, for example, sometimes we kind of do web classes in the office, and you do sometimes over here.
Yeah.
Even if I'm working on something else, no, and you just overhear another teacher doing something, and it kind of, that's, you know, I've been teaching this activity, the same material. I didn't think of doing that. I'm going to try that in my next class, you know. So
if you're teaching online, it's very easy to you know, Danny in IT or Carlos in the evening, they can send you a link to watch another teacher. I mean, you know, say for example, if Salma and Bazard wanted to see each other teach and give each other feedback, they could watch each other online. It's not difficult for us to arrange. You know, it's easy to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else, Rob, on that?
Not for the moment.
Fair enough. Okay, so what about external resources? Like we talked about maybe talks and readings. Is there anything else that we can do to upskill in our free time when we don't know what to do?
No, I mean, it's good to give some sources, I think, as well, because it's quite a bit of a minefield when you start looking at things to look at. My number one source has always been the British Council. I don't know what else other people use. Even for materials, for when I don't understand grammar, I go to them because it's really teacher friendly to help remind you how to do it. And they're a fantastic source. And I go to YouTube a lot and TED Talks for some of the most basic things. Or you know, just a look and have a little read, preparing for a class, especially for high-end grammar. I have to. It's part of my learning.
I can recommend you to visit each other's blogs, because there you have a lot of interesting stuff, really interesting. Take a look at Gabriella's blog, it's really revealing. And there's a lot of stuff that you learn, not only about the person, which is of course present there, but also about what they know and you don't. So it's an amazing resource for all teachers.
I think it's very easy to fall in. Go.
Go for it.
Yesterday, I think, and I recommended her also like a website called Mind Tools, which it's all like about everything, like job interviews, whatever you want. Okay, how to crack whatever you want, and also all those mind mapping things and those sort of studies, and kind of a very interesting website in terms of like ways to learn or to teach or how to do it. And also use a lot ISL Collective, or used to use a lot ISL Collective. It's also like a community of teachers is putting out their exercises and handouts and you can also draw a lot of inspiration from there, actually.
Gabriela,
Done.
oh, sorry.
Next.
I also think like we're putting here like a workshop, or if there are any about teaching, even courses that maybe are not direct teaching, but that can widen your knowledge and can add different things. We're saying like maybe there's problem related problems doing learning, but it can definitely knowledge as a teacher and a lot in a effective.
Unfortunately, Gabriela was cutting for me all
So
the time,
audio.
so I couldn't.
Yeah, audio problem.
But it's okay.
Yeah, I think it's because there's a bit of noise on our side.
Maybe.
I think what she was saying about, I caught some of it. I think what she was saying was like doing things that not just about teaching, but to open your mind is how you approach people. You know, it didn't have to be necessarily about English teaching. I totally agree. There's a whole bunch of things you can do and read about to become better at interacting with people and engaging with them. And considering like that interpersonal skills is such a massive part of working with a student, there's loads of things, you know. We talked about emotional intelligence in a talk before.
Yeah.
Things like these can be really useful. You know,
It was crazy. It was kind of like, ask for a small favor, and it was kind of like, can you pass me the rubber, you know, and then like breaking the ice, just starting with like small sort of things you can do, or behavioral things, and it's very interesting. 14 psychological tricks, maybe, to be relatable, or I don't know what it was, but like kind of what you mentioned, Graham. Yeah,
that's cool.
Great. Let me read something to you, see whether you agree or not. It has to do with how we teach beginners, because for me, the real expertise of a teacher is also measured through their ability to teach without translating.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that there has been a debate whether to translate or not. Of course not, but not because, I mean, some people might think, well, one word to translate one word only doesn't hurt. I'm not going to go into that debate because for me it's absolutely clear. But something that maybe we haven't thought of. As soon as a Spanish speaker learns proper English pronunciation, he already knows thousands of words. Did you know that?
Latin-based, Greek-based words that, you know, like any maybe phrasal verb can be translated to a word that is similar in Spanish, for example. You
Exactly.
know? So
that's
maybe
that's my point.
that's a better method.
Is
So that's, I guess.
Yeah.
Is this so like we're thinking about cognates, right, as well? So
Exactly.
if you have the CION in Spanish,
Yeah.
it's the TION in English. As soon as you know how to make that shun, like communication, information, etc. sound, then you can do it. Obviously, it's English, so we've got plenty of exceptions as well, right?
Yeah.
But I guess, I guess, sure, once you learn.
It's when you learn the suffixes, because they're the bits that change, you know, like in reality, realidad, and community. Once you start to see them, and you can make a guess. I mean, we've all laughed about this, how as us British people, we stick an O or an A on the end of a word and hope that it's Spanish, you know. But I think mixing cognates and is one part, especially with beginners. But what makes you a better teacher, one of the strongest things I think, is if you understand a little bit of the process of the other language.
Yeah.
It really starts to help you.
Correct.
Because especially if you're going through it and you're learning it yourself, you know, because you can, and then when you know that, that's a little bit, but when you know the syllabus of what they're going through, if you can language grade on what they already know using cognates, which is possible, that's how you can teach an absolute beginner. Using words that are very close to Spanish and basic syllabus.
Mm.
And as long as you work like that, you'll always be able to speak English.
That's why having an understanding of Spanish in this case is a big help.
Yeah, and all of the expectations from the CEFR, you know, and how that compares with ours. If you have that, that's something I always say to the guys in the TEFL. There's no course that's going to teach you what's expected through A1 to C2. That you have to go work that out. You've got to go and read syllabuses and find out. But when you know that, you're such a better teacher. Because, you're at B2, I know what you know. Do you know what I mean? And you can start to work like that and talk to them.
Yeah.
That's what made me a better teacher as well. Knowing what they know. That makes sense.
Exactly. I think it's super important, and maybe that's practice again. This is not, I don't know whether after a TEFL course you really
I don't
have
think
that.
so. No.
No.
I think
You
it's
don't
only
learn it at
no. It's only by doing it right and
Yeah.
All right. So
Yeah, I mean, like from my experience, because I mean, I started teaching English abroad, and I came to Spain, and it was like a whole new process to learn how to teach here, right? So I agree with them, and I mentioned that like to have had to learn other languages myself to really help me understand the students' mindsets, and I don't know, yeah. Okay, done.
but Lizard, have you been teaching English in Turkey?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
So-
taught English in Turkey for 5 years.
Okay.
And it was like the whole process myself, learning Turkish well, and then also understanding like why they were making some specific mistakes. Because the structure of the object and the subject and the verb is just like different already. So for them, it was difficult to, organize it. And then how I learned Turkish myself, which was more just by using it rather than just like trying to understand or finding the logic to it, like it was just, all right, this is like this, and that's how I'm going to use it. And so not try to think, oh, no, I have to put the subject after the verb and then the object goes at the beginning, and nothing like that. It was just like using it. And I understood also a lot about the process of learning maybe English, which is like maybe you can just understand it by big chunks instead of just analyzing it, but I don't know. Yeah, that was my experience though.
Excellent. Great. Okay. Any comments from teachers?
just the final one from Jonathan. So we'll let him have the final. So yeah, so he says that it's how you measure results is key. And then you need to compare those results to realize if they're good or not. So I guess comparing results, maybe on a monthly basis, if I understand rightly. No?
Oh, right. Well, like looking at your results will compare to yours.
Maybe not. Maybe I can compare mine to my own. No,
right.
I don't know. No, I think
That's
from
right.
what I understand is maybe like if you have this info that Ravina was talking about before, maybe I can see my results for one month and the
And
next
see
month.
how you improve.
Maybe that's what I understood. Eh?
So there's a thing that you guys are excellent activity writers. For instance, any teacher would rank your activities highly. Okay, so this is something that can tell us how good or how well Rob and Graham understand the teaching process.
Okay.
This is a very direct indicator to this. But also imagine that you take one activity and you say, well, I don't like it actually. I will give it 1 star, 2 stars. But I'm able to improve that activity, and next time this activity is evaluated, someone will give it more stars. So we know that Rob and Graham, and Lizard and Gabrielle, of course, and Salma, are able to put any activity to a high level. Okay, so this is exactly what you need to know to see where you stand. So someone that may not reach that results will know where the average is, and then will be challenged, and then they will want to become as good as you. So this is what a good measuring system can provide. It's not the better it is, the more objective it is, and it gives you direct feedback on what you can improve. So for instance, or you can say, you can see that, for instance, in, punctuality, preparation, you're pretty much at a high standard. Nothing to improve there.
Guys,
But
sorry, but
yeah.
I have to get going. So I have a lesson at 1.
actually, we have to get going
we're
too.
going now.
So, but this is it. I mean, a final advice to everyone, if very brief. to upskill?
For me, yeah, sorry guys, learn the CEFR. Absolutely, spend time learning exactly what each level contains. It's no matter who you work for. It's the first thing a customer is going to say to you, I'm B2. Well, what does that mean? Make sure you know what they know.
Okay.
Don't be scared to
Well,
ask
I'd
your
say,
peers.
yeah, I'd say be ambitious. I mean, I'm not like a native speaker, but when I started out, I was like, okay, I want to be like as good as or even better than a native speaker. So it's just like, that's my I don't know, my drive, I guess. So I would say ambition. I don't know.
Great. Salma, final words from you guys?
Preparation.
Preparation. That I take it for granted, but it's a good way to finish off the talk. So many thanks to everyone, and we will see you on Friday next week. No,
It's Easter next week.
Exactly.
Easter
So
Happy
the
days.
Friday after.
Chocolate eggs.
I've got that one in the agenda.
Thank you guys. Bye.
ya.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you. Bye bye.
Sorry.